Welcome to Empower Hour. Let's get growing.
Good morning, everyone. Super grateful to be here. I love when I am in the Dominican Republic and I get to go live. And it's funny because I've been thinking a lot about this. And when I first launched my coaching business, I had a lot of pressure on myself to go live at least twice a week, but it never felt comfortable, that cadence for me. And it took almost 3 years to really get into the space of building my business in a way that felt really, really good. And what I want to talk to you today is about sales and how to close sales with energy, not pressure. The pressure that we put on ourselves as business owners and entrepreneurs for all the things we got to get done is incredible. And I think it hinders us. And I think we transfer that energy over to our potential clients and even our existing clients. So what I'm going to talk about today isn't one of these from rock bottom to six-figure stories, although it applies. It's really about a consistent pattern of power that I discovered in myself that was there even when things were really difficult. Good morning, Nancy. So this pattern of power that I discovered. So in real estate, many of you may know, or maybe you don't, I was in real estate for nearly 30 years. And I had such a high closing ratio. I was not a big lead generator. I did most of my lead generation pretty much how I do now through my sphere of influence, through conversations, connections, and communication. But when I went on a listing appointment or I went on a buyer appointment, I almost always, over 90%, walked away with that buyer. Now, there's a whole nother conversation that, just because you get people signed up doesn't mean that you're going to get the sale, because there's a whole nother part to the process. But today we're only talking about closing ratios. You still want to make sure you set expectations and a whole bunch of other things, really understand their why and blah, blah. But we're not talking about that today. We'll talk about that maybe next month. What I want to talk about today is really becoming in flow in your sales process, in flow in closing deals. So good morning, everyone. Go ahead and pop in. Hi, Allison. If you're here, I've invited some people to come into the studio later. Hopefully that happens. If not, that's okay too, because my message that I want to talk about today is really, really important to me and one that I want to get out to the universe. So when I launched my coaching business, my life was really challenging at the time. I had a really intense partnership breakup in real estate, although it turned out to be one of the best things that ever happened to me. Jose, is my connection glitchy or is it Allison's connection? Because she's saying the connection is glitchy, but I don't think it's mine. So I wish I couldn't see the comments. I'm going to remove those. I don't want to see them. So when I launched my coaching business, it was not under the best of circumstances. And we have this way of thinking like we could really only sell when we're at our peak and our best. And of course, there's a lot of validity to that. But when I launched my coaching business in the first year, I broke 6 figures, although I was struggling with, heartbreak and healing and all kinds of other trauma that was brought up through the circumstances that happened with my business partner. My marriage was on the rocks. I was not feeling great. However, I was still enrolling clients like crazy. I broke 6 figures in the first year of coaching, and I think that's probably in the top 90% of coaches in my first year. Many coaches never ever break that. And so it wasn't because of sales funnels, and it wasn't because of perfect pitches. As a matter of fact, if you take a look at my social media, you take a look at my branding, none of it is perfect. I haven't spent a ton of time doing anything but working on my own energy. And that has been the most powerful thing that I could do. Because I realized that I have had for a really long time an unshakable belief in who I am and what I am capable of. And that translates over when I am speaking to a potential client or to a client. So that power in closing deals really came from my belief. So whether that's a belief in yourself, or it's a belief in your product, or a belief in the outcome that you or your product is going to give to the people that you are speaking to, that is where that power comes from. People are buying your energy. They're not necessarily buying your product. As a matter of fact, if you think about it and you look at how much competition, and if you're focused on your competition, you guys, your energy is going to go down. So this is about being impeccable, not perfect. You're going to make mistakes. People want to understand how your product or your service is going to impact their life, not just solve their problems. Everybody focuses on solving problems. Solving problems still does not bring them to their desired outcomes, to their desired goals. They buy how certain you are about how your product or how your service is going to change their life. But they will not and cannot do that if you are not certain and you do not have that belief. This isn't about charm. It's not about charisma. It's not about scripts, although those are tools that are going to be extremely helpful. It's about belief. It begins with that belief. And that's what I'm here to talk about today. I have done a lot of study on this in the last year by just looking within and looking at my own patterns throughout my career and my sales. And literally 2.5 years later, I still am not a lead generator. I'm getting clients the same way that I did in real estate. I have not perfected lead funnels or anything like that. Although, thanks to AI, I have finally figured out a way to scale my business where I can be coaching 100 people at one time without sacrificing the integrity of my program. So I'm really excited for that, and that will launch. And then I probably will get into some heavy duty lead generation and change things. But up until this point, I can never really have more than 10 clients at a time. As it is, I'm coaching like 35 hours a week, which is a lot. It's very intense. It's very, very intense. And so this brings me to that placebo effect. This is my theory. When you show up with that energy, that confidence, that unshakable belief that your services, your product are going to get the desired results, the deep desired results, not the surface ones that your clients are looking for, then sales becomes not pressured, but rather a beautiful flow. So I decided to call it the placebo effect. In medicine, the placebo effect shows that belief alone can believe healing. So when you are on your sales call and you show up with that energy, your clients are going to get a better result out of your services or out of your product. When you have such a deep belief and you are able to transfer that energy over. Now, we need to be in integrity here, guys. You don't want to fake this belief. It's very, very important that you get to that place where you believe that, right? So you're showing up with clarity, confidence, and certainty. And that energy ignites something in your potential clients and your clients that already the impacts that your product or services will have begin to take place with that client even before they start to sign the agreement. I see it and hear it all the time. As soon as they begin, I send over the agreement, waiting for them to sign, waiting them for pay, and I'm already getting texts and emails about how they're doing this and how they're doing that. Their energy shifted. So powerful. They borrow your belief. They feel safe and they begin to take the leap and they begin to take the action. They feel supported and they just start to fully believe the ability to achieve those outcomes. So you're not selling. You are transferring your certainty. You are leading them to their desired results. And you don't need a script to do that. And again, I'm going to say, yes, there should be some structure. And if you're working with me, you know I spend a lot of time giving you structure to the sales process, giving you structure to how you introduce yourself to people. But all of my structure is built around making sure that you feel certain, you feel confident, and you have clarity, and you are able to articulate without hesitation what you provide, what services you provide, or what products you offer, and what the outcome will do for your clients. You also need to really understand the outcomes that they are looking for. So that is also part of the structure, is really getting to not just their surface answers, but to how succeeding in the ways that your product or your service is going to help them succeed is going to impact their business and therefore impact their life. And so you want to make sure you're getting to that in your conversation. Absolutely. And this takes curiosity. And I don't know, I think I was probably born with a certain level of curiosity, but maybe not. If you know anything about me, you know I'm terrible at small talk. You get an email from me, or a text, it almost never says, hi, how are you? Or good morning, and just boom, straight to the point. That's who I am. So it did take a little bit of awareness and consciousness, and I am purposefully raising my energy, raising my frequency. Hello, after what I went through in the last 3 years between my business falling apart and then my marriage falling apart under some really intense circumstances, you guys, not just typical. If I was not spending the time raising my consciousness and raising my awareness and raising my energy and my frequency every single day, I would not be where I am today. I don't even know, right? Because it was not easy. You are the transformation. Your energy is the activation to their success. So how are you showing up? How do you show up to your sales call? Are you so busy worrying about, oh my God, I hope that they buy from me? And I get it. Trust me. There's been times, in the past 3 years where there was like $10 in my bank account. I started with nothing. And yes, I desperately wanted a client to sign up, and I desperately wanted, and I was not always perfect. And sometimes I showed up and my energy was not there. But because I have such a deep-seated belief in who I am, and I know that if I work with a client, I am not going to give up until they get the results that they desire. And I also don't want to work with the client unless I am crystal clear that I can do that. So you want to make sure that you are in integrity. This isn't about tricking people. So there are 3 energies that build unshakable confidence in sales. The first one is clarity. Being crystal clear on your product, on your services, and on the outcomes that you create, not just the problems you solve. That is every sales guru in the world is really focusing on the problems. I don't know about you guys, but I've had enough of problems. Like, I don't want to hear there's problems and problems and problems, and we're just inundated with drama and problems all day long. So lead with the possibility, lead with the potential. Be able to articulate your value, your offer, and your energy. Be able to transfer this energy deeply and powerfully. When people are clear on where you're coming from, what you offer, and what it can do for them, that's when they begin to trust you. That's rapport building. Rapport building isn't, oh my God, you went to UCLA? Me too. And blah, 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 blah. So yes, maybe that'll be a great sales call and you like each other and so on and so forth, but you will not get the placebo effect. And I'm going to remind you that the placebo effect means that your clients are going to get better results without you having to do more. And then there's confidence. And you guys hear me talk about this a lot, right? The 3 C's, clarity, confidence, and certainty. So confidence is not ego. It is embodied conviction. It is embodied conviction in your services, in your products, in the results that you can deliver. And this comes from alignment and mastery. The alignment means that you are showing up as the best version of yourself. You're going to make sure that these clients get the most amazing results that they possibly can out of your products and services. Whether that's through you or you now have automation and you have a team, you're going to infect this kind of energy throughout your entire team and everybody that works with you, even your vendors. You're going to make sure that your values, your vision, your mission, all of that is so clear. And anybody on your team and any one of your vendors is aligned with that. That's where confidence comes from. I can move on and know that if someone here, one of this potential client or my client reaches out to anyone on my team, they're going to get the same sort of certainty that I give them as a response. And that's also a whole nother conversation on how do we do that. But this all leads to certainty, which is the key. Okay. And then also you want to make sure that you are leading with the certainty throughout the end of the conversation. So when it goes to price, you want to come back to possibility. You guys, people aren't necessarily making decisions out of finances. That is a limiting belief. That is a story that we tell ourselves. I spent tens of thousands of dollars in coaching when I didn't have any money, but it always showed up. It always showed up because I knew it was in alignment with growing my business and growing myself into the best version that I could possibly be. You are discounting your client's ability when you make it all about money. When you make it so clear and you show up with so much confidence, what your product and what your service, how it could impact their life, increase their sales, increase their business, they then get into thinking in terms of possibility. We're not leading our clients if we're allowing them to settle in financial insecurity, financial scarcity, limiting beliefs, self-doubt. I remember one of my clients, one of the reasons why he wanted to get into coaching is because he never wanted to say no to his children ever. If his grown children called and needed this or needed that, he wanted to be able to give them double of whatever they asked for. And that's exactly why he needed to get into coaching. So we don't want to let them leave the conversation or leave the decision or lead it on price. It really should be, yes, Nancy, I love how it's just blowing things up for you in the most beautiful way. And yes, it may take some time before the sales come flowing in. This is a transformation. This is an adjustment. And it takes time to really get into ownership of this type of energy, but it is amazing. And guess what, you guys? It feels good. It feels good. Nothing feels shittier than putting yourself in a pressured position on a sales call where you're like, oh God, what do I got to say next? What do I got to do next? And how do I trick them into buying my product? How do I trick them into signing up with me? Or how do I convince them? How do I force them? That just disappears. And it's just such a beautiful, beautiful, powerful thing. So if your sales are feeling off, or you're about to get started and you're like hesitating because you are so afraid of sales, I don't want to be a snake oil salesman. I don't want to be pushy and annoying. Oh, I hear that so much. Again, a limiting belief. You're only pushy and annoying if you're pushy and annoying. So don't be. Show up powerfully. Show up certain, confident, and clear. And you will never, ever have to convince anything. And guess what? The people who say no, they're not your people. And that's okay. Next. So you want to make sure you refine your offer and you are so clear on what it does and what it doesn't do. So when you're speaking, it is effortless, it is articulate, and it is clear. When you're second guessing, that's going to come through. You don't want to be second guessing yourself. So take the time to get into mastery. Take the time to really understand the results that your potential clients and their clients are going to get by using your products and your services. Revisit your messaging. Is it saying the right things? Are why are we trying to strike fear in people? I don't understand that. Let's get in the land of possibility. You want to get that mastery so fine-tuned until you can look people in the eye and say, this product and this service changes lives. And here's how I know that. And then be able to show them some proof. And yeah, in the beginning, you might not have that proof. You might just be going on your belief. But if you're so unshakable because you know that you are not going to give up, you are not going to quit until this client gets the results that they desire, then it's going to be easy. Clarity plus practice equals confidence. So yes, there should be some structure to it, and you should practice it. And I read my vision, my mission. I visualize every morning. I do affirmations. I do affirmations. Ask me what that is later and I'll tell you. All day long. I am completely aligned with being a master coach. Every decision I make throughout every single day is aligned with being a master coach. And sometimes that's not easy. There are things in my life that are not perfect, where a voice can come in and be like, oh, people know, and they probably wouldn't want to coach with you. It has nothing to do with anything. When you are working with me, I'm going to take you by the hand and I'm going to be your partner until you get the results that you desire. Period. And you want to be able articulate those outcomes clearly. If you can't explain it and you can't articulate it with confidence, with certainty, you're not looking up, you're not looking sideways, they're not going to feel it. That energy is not going to transfer and they're not going to get the placebo effect. The bottom line is that your clients are going to get better results if they believe with unshakable certainty that this product and this service, and we're also going to make it very clear that there's a part that they have to do. They have to participate in this. We could promise being able to close all the deals in the world, but if you don't have good follow-up and you don't have a nurturing system or whatever, right? All the things. So this isn't like you're coming in and you're being some miracle worker. You are activating amazing results and confidence in your clients. And that will kick in immediately, even before you guys get started. So cool. So I know we had some great questions, a couple of questions emailed in. I believe we have some people in the studio. Jose, if anybody's in the studio or you're in the studio, I think Jose has told you how to come on up. And also, if you could get those questions up, I will start answering. And I can't really read the question. Can you put it on a banner, not in the comments, Jose? Yeah, thank you. So how do I get the kind of confidence that I have? Oof. I don't even know why I have this confidence, but I can tell you that probably it's all I had for a really long time. I'm a high school dropout. I don't have any formal education. I have only the experience that I had throughout my career and throughout my life, and some of that came from the School of Hard Knocks, And I just knew that the only thing that I could really depend on in life was me. And so I know, listen, I used to say at a very young age, at the end of the world, actually, Georgette, I don't know if you're here or not, but Georgette posted yesterday about who do you want in your bunker, like at the end of the world. Well, I was very confident at the very young age, like early teens, that if there was the end of the world, you wanted me in your bunker. Okay. That's the kind of confidence that I had. Now, it wasn't bravado. I mean, sure, there was some of it. I really had a very heavy persona throughout my entire real estate career. This is no longer a persona, but that confidence was the power, was the trait that I was able to recognize, that why I was able to sign up over 90% of anybody I was working with in real estate, and why I have signed up nearly every single person that I've ever met with in my coaching career. And it came from that confidence. And so it really comes from the alignment, making sure, how come nobody's in the studio, Jose? Making sure that your actions, your choices, your product lives up to what it's supposed to. Everything is aligned. The habits that you have throughout the day, they are aligned with whatever being the best version of yourself is to provide the service that you're going to provide is. Making sure that everything that you're doing is aligned with getting the results that you're promising. So it really comes from that mastery and practice. And I don't think you need to go out there and if you're just getting started and act like everything is going to be perfect. So I hope that helps. But it really is about the alignment, the mastery, and the practice. And just knowing that today, and maybe not yesterday, but today, I am 100% in alignment with that version of myself. You can bring her in. You can bring anybody in that wants to come in. That's why I'm saying it. Please put up the next question. Good stuff. How long did it take for you to be able to close deals this way? It took a while. When I first got into real estate, it also was under like not great life circumstances, and I had a lot of shame and a lot of limiting beliefs about myself. But I think that's where I started to realize, like, this is all I have, me. This is the only thing I can control, the only thing that really I can say with certainty how I'm going to behave and how I'm going to act. And I know for a fact that no matter what, I'm going to make sure my clients get those results. I'm going to bring Nancy. Hi.
Thank you so much for having me here. I am feeling this energy, Jen. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Nancy is a client. She's one of my favorite human beings. And I had, we've known each other a long time, but we're just really getting to know each other on a deep level. And that's how we ended up working together. It was a deep conversation, like a two-way. It wasn't Nancy just opening up everything to me. I opened up everything to Nancy as well. So you and I have been talking about this kind of a sales process. So let's hear your take on it.
Well, thank you for your support. As you just mentioned, I'm a client, and you have brought so many things out of me, have helped me be confident, helping me to be clear on my message for my business. But I always have lots of questions. So procrastination, and you said it in the beginning, is it about believing in yourself, and then you can get past that procrastination, making that phone call to a new prospect? And, we've had this conversation before.
Yeah. So a lot of this is just deeply embedded patterns, limiting beliefs, self-doubt. It's our personality in a lot of ways. It's who we are. It's our programming. And so I'm not going to lie, it is really uncomfortable getting to the other side of that. But Nance, everything good, everything good is on the other side of your comfort zone. Nothing good is over here. And it can feel good. There are things that feel good in the moment, like I'm just going to binge watch TV instead of working on my messaging. I'm just going to, have a few glasses of wine instead of working on my mastery. And I'm not judging any of that. And we work really hard. It's just if you're choosing those instant gratifications over the deep work that it's going to take to be able to transfer this kind of energy over to your client, then you're just not going to get the kind of results that you're looking for. And so procrastination is one of those things. And choosing, these are choices. So when you are procrastinating, you literally are choosing other things that are not aligned with your deepest desires over your deepest desires. It's a choice. And so I used mantras. Like, is I would ask myself, is what I'm doing right now moving me towards my deepest desires, or is it moving me away from it? But the minute you can push through it, feel that uncomfortability, and get to the other side, which you are now getting to, you may not have it, may not be all the time, but you have those moments. And then it becomes more and more moments. And then it becomes the space that you live in. And this is where business becomes something that is nourishing your soul. Because in order for me and in order for you to grow your business the way that we're talking about, you have to become a better version of yourself.
Yes. And I've learned, embodying my message for
we
my
can't
business.
fake it. We can't fake it. You can't. It just doesn't work. And yeah, sure. I'm sure that there are people out there who are masters at faking it and have built a successful business that way, through pressure, through forcing, through, hustle, grind. Yes, of course you can build, but that's not going to be the business that nourishes your soul. That's not going to be the business that supports the life of your dreams, because that never shuts off. And when you faked it and force it, you have unhappy clients, you have unhappy team members, you have stress, you have trauma, you have drama, right? No, when we build the kind of business that we're talking about through a higher level of energy, through integrity, through impeccability, and listen, using the word impeccable was something that was not an easy thing for me to do years ago, because I never felt that way. But I know that impeccability just means that right here, right now, today, I do anything and everything I can to be in alignment with who I want to be and how I want to show up for my clients, my family, my friends.
And I have to say, being in coaching with you, just taking that first step and doing and performing that process at the end of, let's say, a sales call, I have found that going into it being fearful, by the end of the conversation, it's like it just flowed from me, and my energy, which was authentic, just passed on to the other person. And that's when everything came together.
Yes.
So
that's the placebo effect, Nance. It works on you immediately. The day that you decided you were going to start coaching with me, and this happens with all great coaches and everybody that is great and is in mastery of what they are doing, because they have transferred that energy of confidence over to you. You were activated. But now I want to say something about you, Nancy. You were like me. You have been doing the work for a long time, but you didn't bring it together. You weren't in your wholeness. And so now you took.
And that's what I've been telling everyone, just in general speaking, that your let's say your spiritual side and your business side were totally separate. And through coaching with you, I've been able to bring them both together. And it's been an amazing experience. And it really has helped me be authentic, being clear in what I feel, having more confidence. So it's working for me.
And I'm so proud of you. But you just made me think of something, because that can be scary to people. Like, I don't think I really have a spiritual side. Do I need to all of a sudden become spiritual? You do. So whether you're a master athlete, or you are just amazing at going to the gym, or you're a fantastic chef, or you are an amazing mom, or whatever that thing is in your life that you do to the highest level, apply those principles, those practices, those values that you show up in those areas in your life, apply them to your business so you can gain that type of certainty, that clarity, that confidence. Listen, in the kitchen, like, it's crazy. I don't even have to think. Okay. Now, I don't cook as much as I used to, but that was my love language for years. I could go to a restaurant, not even ask for the recipe, come home and recreate it, make it better. And that's the kind of certainty that we're talking about. So don't be afraid. Listen, I didn't even know if I believed in God until the last couple of years, which is crazy considering all that I've been through. But it doesn't have to be God. It just has to be energy that is bigger and that is higher than you.
A higher power.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily have to be God.
Yes. And the results that your clients are looking for, that is a higher power. You being able to change the trajectory of somebody's business, so that changes the trajectory of their life. Whew, tap into that. But use that same energy of whatever other area in your life where you are mastering and you are just in what I call now the God zone. Like, when I'm in the kitchen, I'm in the God zone. All right. And some people don't like to be in the kitchen with me, because I'm just like, like a hurricane. I make a mess too. But so think of those areas in your life where you are leading with a set of values. You are leading with clarity and confidence, so much so that you're almost not even aware of it. It just takes
Yes. And I have had that experience already. So the sphere of life, it's just everything, not only your business, but your family, everything combined comes to one.
Yes. Yes.
And so
and then
you're
you
not
don't even
being
need
someone.
to think. You don't even need to think about it.
Yes. So what is the affirmation?
Okay. So affirmations, right? Because we all know what affirmations are. I am the creator. I am wealthy. I am healthy. I am whatever, right? All those things. So affirmations are where throughout your life, throughout your day, things come up where you get the opportunity to embody that future, higher, divine version of yourself. So whether that's, I'll give an example, because I saw Julia, my daughter, logged on Instagram. So, Julia had like this series of car accidents, and, we're stressed out parents, times are crazy, and we could be reacting. I could have been reacting. And honestly, I initially wanted to react with like, wow, right? But I was walking my walk, and I would take a breath, and I had a series of accidents like crazy when I was her age. I was older. So this was an opportunity for me to show up as the highest and best version of myself, and react with love, and react with support, and react with those choices that I would make as that divine version of me. Same thing with clients, right? Or same thing with friends or situations or circumstances or even the news. Like how we react is a chance to affirmate who we want to be and how we want to show up, what kind of energy. Thank you, Allison. What kind of energy we want to emit. It's all energy. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to run a business that feels like pressure and that feels like I got to do more. I got to do more. I got to do more. If only if I have to do this, I have to do that. And I know you were living in that space. And now you're like, my client, David Vogel, I don't think he's here. He was supposed to be here, but he puts a lot of pressure on himself and to do and do and do and do and do. It's very natural for him to be in that space. It's part of his makeup, his DNA. And he recommended a book that I started last night called 10X is Easier Than 2X. And it talks about stripping back, stop doing all the things that aren't the one thing. What is the most important action? What is the most important thing for me to be doing? And then just go in there and get into the God zone and make it fun. These calls, these conversations, Nancy, our initial conversation was one of my favorite conversations of the year. How many people get to say that about how they're building their business? Not enough. And I'm not saying nobody, but not enough. And that's the kind of way you want to lead your business, where you get off these calls and you're like, oh my God, I am so grateful for that conversation, for this person coming into my life. And I can't wait to help them get the results that they desire. Now, how different is that than what you were looking at 6 months ago?
And Jen, through all of these conversations, I never think about getting that order, at that price point. It's like, I'm just so grateful to have that connection with them and to be able to offer the impact I can have in them and in their business.
Right.
So that's been so helpful.
Right. But we also want to make sure we remember, we want to be careful. We want to remember our mission. Our mission is to help as many businesses as possible.
Yes.
So we want to make sure that we're not just there to make friends. I did that for many, many years when I was so involved with the chamber and so on, because we can't impact their life. We can't accomplish our greater vision and our mission of really helping them transform, in our case, their business, where they're building it in a way that feels good and they're getting the kind of results that they want so that they can get their desired outcomes in life and in business. So it's a balance. We don't want to just make friends. We also want to make sure that we are clear that working together is going to help you get the results that you want.
Thank you, Jen.
Yes. Jose, you can stay on, Nance. Jose, she could stay on. Where'd she go? Is there any more questions? I thought there was one more. Oh God. What if I fail my clients? It's not an option. Period. It's not an option. Failure is only failure when you quit. That is the only time. And also making sure that you are in that place of confidence so that you can hold your clients accountable to their part in this. But when you are approaching things where failure is just not an option, and failure only happens if I quit, we have to strategize. We have to come about things from different results and do different things. Every single client that you work with is different and unique. So you may end up in a situation where, this is not working. The way that it worked so beautifully for this client is not working for this client. Go back to the drawing board, right? And make sure they feel held, they feel supported, and they know that you are on their team and that you're learning every single lesson out of this. So the likelihood of hitting a wall with a future client is less. No one is expecting you to be perfect. They just expect you to be accountable and to keep moving forward and giving them the support and ultimately the results that they want. So failure, it's not an option. It only is if you quit, and we're not quitters. Is there one more? That's okay. Nance, we're good. I'm ending. Is there any other questions? Wow, this was great. It's been like something, I did a blog about it and I've been formulating it, but it's so powerful. And when I was able to see the fact that this has been the consistent, my secret sauce over the 3 decades of my career, I knew it was something I had to share. And the business that I am building now that supports the life of my dreams, and I'm doing it in a way that feels good, that feels great, that nourishes my soul, and that one of the criterias is for me to become a better version of myself every single day. I can't even tell you guys what an amazing journey this is. And I still have a ton of work to do. I am so far from perfect. I still have a mess from my marriage. I have financial things that need to be cleaned up. I am not perfect. But I can tell you this, when I'm meeting with a potential client, I am already helping them get the results that they desire before they start working with me. And then once they do, I am all in and so committed to them getting those desired results that they want so they can have a business that supports the life of their dreams. It just doesn't get any better. And you may say, oh, well, but I sell so-and-so. How does that change their life? That's a whole nother conversation. But everything that we're doing in business should have a greater good and a powerful impact. And I can help you identify that. Jose, put up my Connect link. And so if any of this hit you and you would like to schedule a call, please do. And don't be like, I don't think I can afford a coach. This is a conversation, you guys. This is a conversation to get you into your possibilities. We may not even be a match. There's no pressure here. All I want to do is be aligned with my vision and my mission, which is to help over 1 million people by the next leap year, which is pretty ambitious. So as many calls as I have leads me towards that. There's no pressure ever. All I want to do is help people get to a place where they too feel like this business is nourishing their soul and helping them, supporting the life of their dreams. Thank you, everyone. So grateful for you being here today.